G'day guys, I'm AJ and today I'm finally going to talk about a super movie. I'm going to start off with my spoiler-free review, then go to like spoilers if you don't want to watch any trailers, and then go to complete spoilers. So we're just going to go bit by bit, and I will warn you when it comes to the next stage of spoilers. Alright, so first off, for a spoiler-free review. I really liked this movie, and at the same time, it was not what I was looking for at all. I am a big fan of the Christopher Reeve Superman. I love how kind he is, how different his like Clark Kent thing is. I love the origin stories. So this movie was not that, but it is still a great Superman. This Superman is a Superman pulled straight from the comics, and I mean that like crazily. Like, it feels like a sequel. So it feels like if you were in the middle of a comic book series and then somebody just got one of these like Superman series comic books and then boomed that into live action. And in that way, it does do a lot of show and don't tell, which is great movie making wise. But it is also very jam-packed. This is not an origin story in the slightest, and there are a lot of new superheroes, and it does not hold back with all the new concepts and the big world. You're just jumping into it. You can love it or hate it, but at the same time, it's not so much doesn't make sense. It just can be a little bit overwhelming. It's kind of reminiscent about how much stuff goes on in Aquaman, but it's not nearly as like, it is balanced in the way of you still know what's going on. It's not as crazy and overwhelming as Aquaman, and it's definitely a lot like Batman vs Superman, where they're just plunging in all the different things that they want to do at the same time. It is a good, solid story, and it's fantastic. It's just not the origin story that I really want. I know that there are already like 2 movies and a lot of TV shows about the origin story, but you know, I still kind of want to see the movie that's set before this one. This is a Superman that's already had 3 years of fighting. He's already a little bit experienced, and he's not the first superhero in this movie. I like the idea of Superman being the very first hero to come onto the scene as a superhero, and then for that to inspire other metahumans to like come out of the depths and be themselves and be heroes. And this is not that. Superman revealed himself after other metahumans have. He is still young in the superhero business compared to other superheroes that you'll see in this movie. But like I said, I'm not doing trailer spoilers yet, so I won't talk about those particularly yet. So this movie is good, just not what I was looking for, but it is greatly executed, and the story was fantastically like written. So much good like storytelling stuff, great show don't tell. The characters are really like expanded, like you can tell that all the characters are two-dimensional. There's no character that's just like one note, you know? And even if they're like don't show their other dimensions to them, like you can tell that there are a lot behind and that face. And all the characters were done really well. They were just as their James Gunn characters. James Gunn is the director of this movie, by the way. He is the director of Guardians of the Galaxy. And like when he did Guardians of the Galaxy, it's not exactly like the modern, those comics that was written for Guardians of the Galaxy. It wasn't like TV shows, but no one knew about Guardians of the Galaxy, so that was okay for him to do his complete spin. This is a new movie Superman, a new screen Superman. But it's a lot like the Superman from the comics, especially from ones like Superman All-Star, and I forget the name of the other one, but there are loads of comics that this is based on. This is really not based on like your Christopher Reeve Superman and stuff. I mean, there's stuff from that, but you can't really do Superman without doing that. At least have some of it from that. So yeah, and there are parts where it's like, but if this happened, then how come he's doing this? There are obviously some bits that aren't perfect, even though it's James Gunn who's doing it, and with the show don't tell bit, there is a little bit of tell, but like you need it because there's so much action, and like you need to just tell people what's going on sometimes a little bit, or like foreshadow a bit with what's going on, because there's so much stuff. I mean, you will need to do a technical tactical toilet break before you watch this movie, and don't drink any like soft drinks during the movie, because you kind of need to concentrate or like watch the whole thing to know what's going on. Like there wasn't any part where I was confused, where I was like, hey, wait, why are they doing this? When did this happen? But other people said that they said that they got a bit oomph, and it was very close to them getting confused. And I'd say that a younger me would definitely get confused easily by this. So I do need to warn you about that, but it's not like there's any movies that you can watch to, like, understand what's happening. Like, maybe you could read the comics of All-Star and, like, look up what he got inspired by if you really want to get into it and do your research and you're a big fan of Superman like me and you want to get prepared. With Superman's battle scenes, like, it was very interesting. The photography and, like, visuals of it was great. And one thing that I always find when I'm watching Superman or Supergirl doing their fighting, I'm, like, either going, just use this power, use your freeze breath when it comes to fire. If this person is easily taking your punches, try out laser eyes. Like, sometimes I could just be shouting at the screen, use this power, you know, like, or like trying not to shout at the screen because I'm watching it with someone else. But there was only really one time when I was getting that, and that was because I could tell why Superman wasn't doing it and why he couldn't do that at that point. And so it was really cool to have that. And also, like, a lot of the time in the Superman the animated series, they make him a lot weaker. They don't make him as strong as he is in, like, the comics and stuff, because he's just too powerful, and it's really hard to make villains that are not also super powerful like that to balance it out. And they did have that with the villains, but not to a crazy extent that made me just feel like villains worked with it, and like it felt like Superman was being as strong as Superman. You know, it felt like Superman was being as strong as Superman should be, and it also didn't feel like these villains were super overpowered either. And there are so many comic Easter eggs in here, and so many like Superman villain Easter eggs in here. It's great, but like not too many, so much that you're like, ooh. It's not like too fan servicey, you know? So this is the part where I do like the light spoilers of stuff that have been revealed in the trailers. So you guys ready for these spoilers? Okay, so but yeah, alright. And Crypto was great, but also very comic book accurate. And Crypto had a big part in this. Like, I thought that he was just gonna be like in the beginning and then kind of put aside or even die. But he had a big role in it, and that was great for me. If you have a dog, you'll probably relate to a lot of the Crypto scenes. Or if you have a friend who has a dog who's not that well trained, you'll relate to these Crypto scenes. With Lois Lane knowing Superman's secret identity, I didn't really know how I felt about that, you know? I would have liked to seen him like reveal it or something. I especially didn't like that he said that he was only dating her for 3 months and he'd already revealed it? Like, what if that didn't turn out well? And then you had someone who was like, you know, upset with you who had your secret identity. Like, I feel like Superman's a bit smarter than that. And like, I understand that a lot of people want Superman to be truthful and they want him to be open and honest with people like Lois Lane and even Jimmy Olsen. And unfortunately he didn't get that many scenes with Jimmy. It was just like one very short scene with Jimmy and Clark. I would have liked to see more of that. And they executed Jimmy so well, so I would have liked to see more of him bouncing off Clark. But it felt like Superman and Lois will do these big passionate kiss, and then next thing you'll know they'll just be like arguing about something, and it was a bit like I felt smarter than Superman knowing what to do in this situation, and I'm 24 and Superman's meant to be 30 years old, or like 30 something. I think he was just exactly meant to be 30, because it said like 30 years since since his spaceship since Krypton exploded. It says that Superman had 3 years of doing this, so I felt like Superman should know how to deal with these things by now. Like, it makes sense if it was an origin story that he'd be still working out these kind of problems, but it wasn't. He's been doing this for 3 years, so I feel like he should, you know, have his Clark Kent part of his personality down. Like, if he was recording interview of him and Superman, of Clark Kent and Superman, he would be able to do that easily, of changing his 2 parts of his personality. That's what I feel like, at least, he would be like by now. But other people said that they liked it and that it was realistic to how an actual person would act, and other people said that they liked them, Lois and Lane and Superman's dynamic. I did like how, I did like Lois as a character. Like, she was still Lois. She was definitely still spunky, still, go out and get it, and not afraid to get her hands dirty and get into the action and help Superman, even though she doesn't have any powers, or any, like, special tech or anything. There is a lot of the other superheroes in his. Like, Mr. Terrific felt like the secondary character. He is in like a little bit of the trailers, so I feel like I can say that. but like there's definitely not that much of the people that you first, like the superheroes that you think of when you think of Superman. Like, I don't know, you might think of Guardian or Wonder Woman helping him out. I guess those guys are kind of too powerful. I'm trying to think of someone who's like sometimes Jimmy Olsen has powers and he's like the sidekick sort of person. The only like real psychic I can think of with Superman is like Supergirl. Or like Superboy maybe. I don't know. But Mr. Terrific definitely isn't someone from the lineup that you think of, even if you've read the comics. Like, you probably know who he is if you've read the comics, but you don't think of him as a Superman character. So that was very interesting to have him as that, and like I loved him as a character. They nailed his character, but it was still like I would have preferred to see much more of other characters like Jimmy Olsen than him. I think that they nailed Lex Luthor so much. I heard that other people, there was one review that I watched where they said that he was too shouty, and I can see that now.
Can you stand up?